Okay, hello and welcome to our monthly webinar on ACC, where we all need a good role module, ACC Modules Explained, with Claus Vemgaard and myself, Bettool, Jabur. Just before we start, just some practical information. This webinar is recorded, so you will be able to receive and kind of look back at it at your own pace again next week. You will have the possibility to ask any questions as well, so please feel free to use the Q&A box. We'll just run through that in just a moment as well, and we'll try to answer any questions at the end of the session today. So if you do have any questions, please feel free to jot them down. We also have a chat area, so if you feel like joining in the conversation or anything like that, then please feel free to just add in some comments along as we go along the webinar, but please do make sure that you write any questions in the Q&A section, not in the chat section. That would be really great. Today's agenda.
Yeah, first we're going to start with presenting the company Symetri that we are all representing.
And anything else important that we're missing though, Claus?
Maybe the most important thing, the presenters, of course. So we're going to just tell you about who we are, actually.
Of course, there's one really important person we need to definitely go through who he is, and that's Claus Vemgaard. So hopefully we'll be looking to see who is Claus.
And we will all get to know a little bit about Bettool Jabur as well.
A little bit. Brilliant, perfect. So yeah, once we've gone through the introductions, what we're going to go through is ACC. What is ACC, and why is it that ACC is really important within an organization nowadays? After that, we're going to be going through what exactly?
Yeah, we're going to take you a little bit through the different modules that actually consist within the ACC platform. And we're going to talk about the Darks, Design, Collab, and Takeoff. And within Build, we have picked out we're going to talk about forms and meetings. And hopefully we can find something that for every role that is active within the building process, so in the building industry, we could find a module that actually fits for your profession.
Brilliant. And then we'll summarize, going through what is it that we've learned today, and then we're going to go through the Q&A right at the end of the session. Thank you for that. Okay, so now that we've been through the agenda, what we're going to go through is just basically who are we at Symetri. So at Symetri, every single day, we kind of go by these values, and we have these values of people who are passionate. Okay, so whoever at Symetri is working on a particular item, they're passionate about that particular item or that area of expertise. But what that brings along is how we adapt to change. Software is constantly evolving, and the way that we work is constantly changing and evolving. But what you need is that courage, that step to move forward within the practice. And so that's what our Symetri values are, allowing us to go ahead and work smarter. So looking at solutions that will allow us to streamline, work more efficiently, but together while we're doing a bit of teamwork, a bit of what Claus and I are doing today on this webinar.
And within Symetri, it actually adds up to a lot of passion, since we are more than 450 employees. So there's quite a lot of passion there. And we actually changed the lives for quite a lot of people, since we have more than 150,000 daily users in the Northern Europe. The users are using our software. And we actually are quite courage because we actually think that we could help people with most of the things, like or technical related. We could have people with better guidance within 3D modeling and 3D simulation and PLM, and of course within the BIM, because that's what you're most interested in. I think so.
Yep.
And of course, it's about working smarter. We all want to work smarter, and we're going to offer you a solution that could lower your development and production costs, and we could reduce the material use and even help you with shortening your lead times. And it is all about teamwork, because within Symetri, it's a lot of teamwork, since we are in a lot of countries, different countries, and we help each other. And even within the ADNOC group that Symetri is a part of, we have other technical companies that actually work with the PLM as well, and we help each other. So quite a lot of teamwork.
Absolutely, absolutely. So who are we then, Claus?
Yeah, on the left on the picture, taking the selfie here, is Bettool Jabur. She's a senior technical consultant. She's an absolute expert on BIM 360 and ACC, and I could not think of anyone more fit and suitable to do this presentation for you. So if you want to know anything about BIM 360 and Autodesk Construction Cloud, Bettool is the person to ask the question.
Thank you very much, Claus. So Claus Vemgaard on the windscreen, the side mirror here on the right-hand side is Claus Vemgaard. We met the first time over 2 years ago. However, Claus has been working at Symetri for over 10 years. So, so the first time I met Claus, we just kind of straight away, we've had the same values what Symetri have, and we just straight away kind of started to work together and build Lego pieces together. And the first time we met was in an Autodesk environment as well. So we was in Birmingham in an Autodesk office, and we had a really great day together where we was learning and exploring new technologies. And it was about BIM 360 and cloud solutions prior to ACC. Claus is an expert who has fun within any single meeting he goes into, or whatever task you give him, he makes it fun. So it's quite great to work with someone who's fun and engaging within meetings, and it just makes work a really nice place to attend every day. So thank you very much, Claus, for making this presentation come together in a really enjoyable fashion. Let's move on to some serious stuff then. So what is ACC? What is Autodesk Construction Cloud?
Yes, the Autodesk Construction Cloud is the third and latest generation cloud solution software provided by Autodesk. Previously, you have probably all heard about and maybe worked with the BIM 360. That both the first and second generation was called BIM 360. And now the changes to this, you say United platform, or
United, that's the other one. That's the football link. This isn't United. This is the uniformed one.
This is the unified platform.
Unified.
Yeah, the unified platform. So where you actually store all the data on one unified platform, and then you can take advantage and use that data on all the modules that Autodesk Construction Cloud consists of.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So we're not just talking about, taking data and having it fragmented all the way through the process. As Claus mentioned to me that other day, he said, what we're trying to do here between different countries is we're trying to get that data and push it across the different countries. We're trying to get that data and make sure it's streamlined across all the different offerings that we have here. So from design through to operate, you've got your drawing. From that drawing, you can extract your takeoffs, you can extract your schedules, you can know where the crane is going to be at what time on site. And at the end, what's really important is that all of this data you can extract into the operational stage. And so making sure that, if the boiler is broken, where can I now change that boiler, and where can I now go to check my maintenance, or whatever it is to do with it, that data is available for you to extract much more efficiently. So it takes us on to the need for it then as well. Claus, don't you think about the remote working? We're both working in different countries. You're in Sweden, I'm in the UK. We're trying to kind of tie in together a project, and by doing that we needed to stay connected. We needed a platform that can allow us to do that, and so making sure that our project plans are up to date. It also allows us to enhance our collaboration by utilizing that information whenever we need access to it. So you're not restricted as to an office or being able to travel into a location, especially during the current pandemic. So we've got a lot of reasons as to why we've had to, as an organization, kind of invest heavily within an ACC environment.
Finally, we're going to talk about what are the first module, and it actually, of course, we're going to start with the most important module of them all, Autodesk Docs. And as I'm showing you here, it is the backbone of BIM 360. I'm saying, sorry, ACC, Autodesk Construction Cloud.
Slip of the tongue.
Yeah, it is actually, but it is the backbone. And this is where you, first of all, you have your file storage. And I'm showing here, you should store Revit files or PDF files or DWG files. It is much more than just a Dropbox or OneDrive, because when you can actually open these files here, stored here. Now I'm showing how to open a Revit file. And so basically people who doesn't have any Revit competence, you don't even bought a Revit, they could open the file and they could work around, play with it. They have all these level filters, so it's really easy to go and see how does the basement look like and all the other levels you have in the project. So it is a brilliant viewer within this huge file system built in, easy for everybody to use. So, and that you could imagine all disciplines could actually use this.
Absolutely. I mean, you don't have to have, like you said, the Revit technical expertise to go and view a model. You don't have to tap on someone's shoulder to say, "Can you show me this?" You've actually got the ability to just view it in on the web browser.
Yeah, and it's so easy so everybody can handle it.
Brilliant. Which kind of takes us on to this next one.
Yeah, here I'm showing you how it looks like if you open a DWG file, but it's the same. You have the same functionality whether you work with the Revit files or the PDFs or this, in this case, DWG. And it actually, you have a version. Every file you upload in ACC gets a version. So if you upload a second time, it gets a second version. Oh, is this not this? Oh, sorry. I'm talking about the wrong thing.
Sorry, this is the markups.
Of course. But
getting excited.
Regardless, because people you get involved in the project, maybe they haven't created this, so they're just checking it, is it good or anything. And then if they have any findings, they can create a markup. So instead of creating a markup or a printed paper, you just make a markup directly here in ACC, and it's not even on the PDF or something, it's directly on the DWG. And then if you create a markup, you can actually change it afterwards from being your private markup to being a published markup. That which means everybody who opens this DWG afterwards can actually see the markup. So it's a great way of communicating. You're just making a markup once and it will be there. And of course, you can customize these markups. You can create it in whatever color you want, like the thickness of the borders and stuff like that. It could be just like you want it. And you can have different kind of colors for different kind of markers and stuff like that. So it's a great functionality, and it is widely used, and it's available both on, you see here, on PDFs and DWGs.
Yeah, and the other good thing about it is that, if you do struggle with certain colors, representations, there's a lot of colors on here. You can change it to what it is that you want. Change the font size if you wanted to add a bit of text or bubble something as well as you're going along. But as Claus mentioned there, the availability of doing this on PDF or DWG, instead of printing and finding the highlighters and going back and rescanning and documenting, it's all there in the same file, isn't it, Claus?
Yeah, and you can differentiate. Some of the markups are your private notes for you, maybe for your own work. Maybe you have created this actually, and you see, I'm going to do this on Monday. So I'll create a note for myself, and I'll just keep it private. And other times it will be something, some of my colleagues that has to take this into account, and then I will make it published as well.
Brilliant. Perfect. Now we're looking into the part that you got excited about, comparing models.
I'm actually really excited about this because I think this is one of the best features within the Docs environment. And that is, you have this version handling. So whenever you upload a file, it gets a version. And if you upload a file with the same name, again, it gets a second version and a third version, of course, and it goes on like that. And it actually keeps in mind how the different versions were looking, so you can compare them. And this example we see here, the blue is the version 1 and the red one is version 2. And then if you have both, if you see the both, you will see the differences with the color there. So it's brilliant way to actually compare these instead of printing out the papers and sitting and holding it against the light and the roof light.
Imagine doing that with AO sheets, putting it up to the light to see what's happened.
I've done that when I started working in as an estimator in the business, and it was terrible and so easy to miss changes. Within this, it's almost impossible to miss it. We even have this slider here, so you can actually have one version on the left side and another version on the right side. And then when you slide it through, you can see the different versions on the other side. And it's also a great way to actually find these changes. And this works as well, again, for DWGs and for PDFs and even for Revit models. So you can, in a great way, see what have changed and what have been added and what have been removed.
Absolutely, yeah. It is probably one of my favorite features as well of the platform. Really great, and as Claus said, it's easy not to miss something on this one. Whereas it's easier to miss something if he was doing things in a more traditional way.
Yeah.
So Claus, what role requires docs then? So we've been talking about roles and things, and the first part of ACC that we've seen today is docs.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for showing that. What role is...
It reminds me of you have an English expression saying every man and his dog, isn't it?
Absolutely. So this is why we've got this image then.
Yeah, because I think it is for everybody.
Yeah.
First of all, you can't work with ACC without using docs, because what module either what module you're going to use, you have to have the documents or the files stored somewhere, and that is in docs. And then as well, it doesn't matter what you do in the business, you're always going to have advantages or great benefits from working with docs. So
brilliant.
Just everybody.
Just everybody. So anyone who's involved within the process, whether they're going to be behind a desk, whether they're going to be on site, they will need to have docs to access the data.
And I really promise you will take advantage of it. Everybody will take advantage of it.
Absolutely. Okay, so let's now take a look at design collaboration. And to start off with, we're going to look at some facts. So design collaboration is the next step, really. For me, is the next natural step from docs, because I come from a design background, so I look to see how is it that I can make fluid data exchanges between myself and my colleagues. Coming from a Revit background, again, I need to kind of make sure that I'm packaging information and being able to visualize this packaged information on a bit of a timeline. So what we have in design collaboration is a bit of a swim lane, or you might have heard of it referred to as a swim lane, where we've got these yellow and green items on this kind of chart showing you when certain people or certain teams have started to create packages. So you've got this visual team packaged information. Instead of having, you know, an email that was sent out somewhere and trying to figure out who's issued what on what dates, we have this timeline of events. We're able to compare models as well within this platform. So as you can have a look at a federated model, you can see what changes has happened before you even take it into your own received space. So when someone has created a package and you want to now put a link of your package into your model, we need to basically check out the model before we bring it into our own environments. And so design collaboration will allow you to do that before you take it into your own environments of Revit, for example. In this here, what we can see is just opening design collaboration. We have the module there from the top left. We've selected design collaboration, and then what you can see is the view of all of the different models, and teams are automatically trying to be created. So it's extracting it. ACC is looking at your folders, and it's trying to see where your teams are. And in this particular example, there's quite a lot of models that has been created, but not many have been issued. And it gives you a time frame. So whether you're working quite heavily within 1 week, it will give you the time frame of that 1 week. Or if you're consistently working over the 3-year period, for example, it will give you the timeline of events over that 3 years. You can schedule publications as well. So every week, every Wednesday, every Friday, whenever it is, we can schedule those publishes as well, so that ACC can then kind of produce some kind of automation within the publication of that. The next item within this is how is it that we can go in and bear with me a second. How is it that we can go in and create a package? So looking at the settings before going into packages, we need to make sure that our teams are created, and we need to make sure that we have got the correct model in there as the main model as well. So for when we're federating, we need to just kind of let ACC know which one is the main or the master model. Okay, now let's go in and take a look at how we can create a package within design collaboration. So here in this example, the structural engineer is going in to create a package by pressing the plus on the timeline of events, then selecting the model that you want to upload, or the model that you want to share with the wider team. You find the view that you want to share, and you can produce or add any documents that you would like to share as well. You've got the ability to delete this if you've done this by accident. The timeline shows you something slightly different in terms of what it is that it's trying to capture. And we can package with a name. We can give a description as to what this package is doing. Is it for building regs, for planning, but for just reference or for view only. And then as soon as we share that information, we'll be able to see that now we're in a solid color on our timeline. So we're able to go in and visually note that we have produced something there that's shareable with the wider team. Now, that's producing a package, but when we go into actually consume or take that package and kind of have it within our received folder, as the architect in this one, we can see that the structural engineer has produced a package. There's this hollow circle shown through at the top, and we want to go in and maybe explore, see for any changes, if this is maybe issue number 10, 20, or 100, see any changes. But then what we're going to do here is consuming, and this takes it into our team space in our ACC folder that you should have access rights to or permissions to be able to view that. And then once the package is being created, we can then go in and view that package within our own team space. So in terms of roles...
Yeah, it is interesting. What roles do you think requires design collaboration?
So in this one, in this image, I'm hoping to kind of capture quite a lot of what happens here, because in design collaboration, you are literally moving those circles of settings all the way across through from docs through to design collaboration back into docs, because as you're creating that package, that information is going from one team to another team. So in terms of roles, not job titles, but roles, we're looking at consumers. So anyone who's going to be taking my model and utilizing that model for their work, i.e. as a link. So consumers will be using that. We also have creators. So for me, producing that package of information on the timeline, I am a creator. I am being able to go in and edit and be able to go in and share that information. Then you've got Revit users, those who are using Revit collaboration. You know, they're working on a central model hosted in the cloud, and they need to have access to their latest information. So we've got the Revit users, project managers who need to see when the timeline of events have happened. And then you've got the BIM managers as well. So those who sometimes the workflow for different companies mean that BIM managers are the ones that go in and create this package every single time for within each company. And then you've got the Revit coordinators as well, who have a similar role in that. How's that, Claus?
Yeah, it is. It's fantastic.
Brilliant. So far, we've had to look at two modules. We've had to look at docs and we've had to look at design collaboration. But now what we're going to look at is Takeoff with Claus.
Before we change the slide, I could just say that what we have seen previously, docs and even the collaboration, it's not that strange for you if you have been working with BIM 360 before. Takeoff is a brand new module, and they have never had anything like it before, actually, Autodesk. So this is brand new and only available on ACC.
Brilliant. Let's take a look.
Yes. As you see here, it's a module for itself, and it's depending on what you're doing, you have to set up a classification system, because what you actually do in Takeoff is you're taking out your quantities from a Revit model, or you actually create quantities from a PDF. And to do that, you have to have some kind of classification system, so you actually can sort all your information you're taking out, and you will get it sorted in a correct way. And you can do that. You can have different standards in different countries, and even within the countries, you can have different standards depending on what stage of the project you are in. So here I'm using a NRM1 classification. And then when all the quantities I'm taking out, you will see later on they are sorted in that system. And you can then easily search and find the different quantities you have created. So now they are getting a green marker there, because that's the first stage of doing when you're going to do your quantification. The second step here is I'm actually picking up the files I'm going to use for my quantity takeoff. And that's why you see on the left side I have files, and that's actually the files that you can find on Autodesk Docs. So that's exactly the same files I see here. And then I'm selecting which files I'm going to be taking quantities of, and I'm clicking Publish here, because then it's being, you could say, copied to my Takeoff environment. But the most important thing why you do this is actually you have to have a specific version you have actually created the Takeoff from. So afterwards you can go back and see, okay, this Takeoff, this quantification was created on this version of the model and this version of the drawing. So there's no arguing afterwards why you have made it to do some
I
quantities.
noticed you only selected the PDFs there. Is that something with the workflow?
Yeah, so I'm selecting the PDFs as well here. So I'm selecting the 3D models, which is a Revit model, and then I'm selecting the PDFs here. And then I'm actually creating like a set of drawings that I'm using or taking this takeoff from. So now it's being added, and it's now being searched and scanned for getting the sheet numbers as well, like you do when you're creating the sheets in the Autodesk docs as well. So he's just taking this information from the sheets and storing it in Takeoff. So again, I could say this Takeoff was actually created from this exact drawing, this version of the drawing. So now I have my materials I'm going to take my Takeoff from. So, and as you see here on the steps, now step 2 is created. I have created, uploaded all my files and models I want to use. The last step is actually to create Takeoff packages. And this is where I do a package for what do I want to take off. Here I'm creating a package called doors because I want to take out all the doors from the model or the drawings. So I'm going in here, and then I'm actually choosing what of all of my files do I want to use for this takeoff. And since I know that the doors are modeled in the Revit file, that is the easiest place for me to find it. And here I'm using this fantastic functionality where I can actually take from what you see is the house and then split it into all its pieces it consists of. And it's sorted up in categories. So here it's sorting all of the doors. So it's really easy for me to find the door. And this door is called YD10. So when I'm choosing it, it actually creates a name of a takeoff called YD10. And then the only thing I have to do here is now select what classification should this have. So, I mean, what should this be sorted under when I do the takeoff? And I can search here as well. If I know the numbers, I can go straight to that. But I can even search here for external doors, and it's easy for me to say, okay, this is going to be classified as an external door. And then I'm going to select whether if I'm going to do this as a quantity or an area and stuff like that. And of course, this is a quantity. And then I have this great functionality as well. I can actually say, I want to pick all that kind of doors, all doors called YD10. And it's 43 doors. And I'm just switching back to the model. So you could, afterwards, you can actually see when I have done this takeoff, it will be colored because so it's easy for me to see that I have taken this quantity. So now I'm taking quantity, and you can actually see it's colored red, and you could also see a little red color on left to the YD10 name. And now here I see my inventory of all my quantities I have taken off. Here I can start to find this within the NRM1 system.
Brilliant.
So that's really good. So, but 3D takeoff requires, of course, the things, the objects to be modeled in the Revit file.
Of course.
The revolutionary thing of this is you could also take off things that's not been modeled in the Revit file. And if you have the experience with Revit, you know there's a lot of things that we never model because it would take too long time to model, or maybe it would make the model too heavy because you don't want to model exactly everything. For instance, here in this project, we haven't modeled specific floor finishes in the different rooms, which, normally you don't do that. So here, but I still want to take out the quantities. So here I can do that in a 2D way. And I just have to select the scale of my drawing. And then I have selected a color, and I'm going to select that I want to take off an area. So now I'm just going to draw the area. If you have been working with the blue beam for mesh quantities, you can see it's almost the same, the process. Yeah. So, but so this is actually an alternative to sitting on a drawing or a PDF to do the manual takeoff. And the good thing is everything is stored within the same quantity inventory and in the same system. And it could be a combination of both 2D and 3D takeoff. And
What I like about this is that you draw over within the platform. You're not having to take it out into another separate platform. You're just doing it within ACC.
Yeah, I'm staying in
Great.
here, so I can go in, as you see here, afterwards and adding on more as the project moves on. It's really easy to do that. And it's, again, you have this, you have the version functionality within here as well, which is really, really good because you're working directly on the drawings you have in the project. So you don't have to print out the PDFs and mailing them as well. They are here. I'm just showing here I can create a second category. Of course, I can choose the colors myself if I want to use it. And of course, again, I'm just selecting the category that I want to use here. And it is so easy, actually, and it's really fast.
That search functionality is great as well because, you know, it could be easily done where you forget what number it is that you're looking for. So
Yeah.
just typing in floor there allowed you to get your floor finishes up as well, which is great to see.
And you can actually have two different classifications if you want to. We have a primary and a secondary one as well. So, and then you could use both of them afterwards if you want that. And it's really, really good. And it's so easy to do this. It's like a child could actually do this. Not that I'm a supporter of child labor, but it's just how extremely easy it is. So you have this area again, and as soon as it's closed, it recognizes and it's added onto this inventory. What can I do with this inventory? Yes, I can, of course, I can see it here within my environment, but I can also export it, which I think is the main purpose here. So you want to export this, and then you being able to actually later on import it into your quantification system where you have your price list and stuff like that. And here you see it. It then easily ends up in an Excel file, and it's structured just like the classification system I choose to begin with.
Brilliant. So you create the different tabs at the bottom.
Yeah.
Perfect.
And of course, you could either export it with just one storage, like I could select just to export the doors, or in this instance, I could export everything together. And this will get different tabs.
Perfect. So we talked about docs, design collaboration, and now looking at Takeoff. Takeoff seems to be quite in-depth and quite niche. So in terms of who will be utilizing it, you're not going to get everyone utilizing Takeoff. So who are the ones who need to look for Takeoff modules?
Yeah, this is definitely a very niched module. It is, I would say, yeah, for estimators or other people who actually would do quantifications. And it could be of second entrepreneurs or that are going to do calculation on their own bits and stuff like that. But it is for calculating all of the quantities. Those people who ever find themselves doing that, they could definitely benefit from this.
Brilliant. Perfect. Well, thank you very much for that one. The next kind of module that we're going to be looking at is actually build, but within that we have something called forms. So if you have checklists, that kind of stuff, then this module is also important for yourselves. So within the build module of ACC, we have forms, and so you can see there's a lot of different modules underneath forms, but we're going to be focusing on forms. You can either create a template or you can create a form from that. So either new form immediately and then choose the correct template, or we can take a look at how we can actually set up our own template. So you can create your own subfolder, and underneath that kind of accumulation of templates, we can then start to create more templates if needed. So in this particular example, there's a template already there. We can edit that template as things improve as we're going along. You can create forms from either a PDF or you can create forms from a blank template. So I'm just going to go in and build a new blank template form. Okay, so once we go on to that, you can then choose from another kind of sub-template. So what kind of thing are you looking to do? Are you looking to do a safety checklist, an incident report, a daily report, or even just blank totally, and we'll start off from from scratch. So I just want to show you the absolute basics of what you can get out of the box here. So the more information captured within this area, the easier it is and more streamlined it'll look on the other side of the form. So here it's a safety kind of form that I'm creating. You've got your kind of tools that you can use, your palette tools to add new sections or to add new kind of areas of notes and things like that. I'm just going in and creating a visitor's requirements form. So, you know, have you got your hard hat? Have you got your boots? Have you got your high-vis jacket? And those kind of things. So we're looking to see that adding a section of a yes and no, you can have a true or false, you can have a plus minus, you can have a pass or fail, or you can even add something where you get someone to write a text response like this last one that I've just placed in there. So just kind of fast forwarding through this, you can add equipment and you can add material as well or notes. And basically what that will allow the person on the other side of the form to do is to go in and type in those items. There's a beta version actually at the moment out for multiple contributors in sequence or multiple contributors in parallel. So you're not just looking for one person to fill out that form, you can actually have multiple people filling out a form. Because you might be taking the form to a certain stage, but you need someone else with certain authority to go through the next stage of the form. And so it's just quite good to see who can be the contributors. And you can just select who the contributors are if you wanted to. You can allow reviewers to view the draft as well if you wanted them, just while you're drafting out the responses, if it's a longer form to fill in. But now that we've got the template form, what we can do is we can go in and select that template form and say that we want to create a new report. And so by creating a new report, we've got the ability to put in the date that you might have. This is a visitor's requirements form, so you know the date that you visited to the site. You can give a description of why you visited. But what's really nice about this is that we can just go in and tick a box, and this is something that can be done really nice, really easy, really quick on site. You can add your photos, just dragging in any photos that you want of the particular item. Here I'm just dragging in a picture of my site boots and just uploading that just to kind of, here's the evidence to go with the form as if required as we're going along. You can remove that or you can just upload that. So I just go ahead and upload that. So that picture is being uploaded. Have you got your site hard hat? Yes. Have you got your site gloves? Is it no or not applicable? And then, we can go in and start to add data as we're going along, or you can add notes as well. The equipment area, this is where we can now add our equipment. And these are the hard coded in items. So equipment, quantity, hours used, and any comments to go with it. So if you've got a ladder on site, how many hours have you using it? Those kind of things, just to note what has happened. So in the notes in this one, I've just said Claus has come with me onto site, and we've just come in to see what comes out at the other end of this. So once you've got the pictures, you can go in, you can upload the pictures, you can have a look at it, and basically you've got an interactive form that you can review at any stage within the project. So this is within the build module, and it was forms.
And it can easily be filled out from the mobile platform as well, which is now you're filling it in on a computer or desktop, but it's even more easier on a mobile.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I think it's more interactive. It's like, it's a very nice app to use on the mobile as well. Yeah. So quite interactive. You just click the buttons, take the picture, capture it, you put it there. The dragging of the picture onto the site, it's onto the website itself just a moment ago, might take slightly longer than what it would to just find your images from your phone. So yeah, this great spot there as well. Takes us on to what roles are required. Are we just looking at just one role that's required within this particular area of ACC, or are we looking at multiple contributors? And so it takes in, the manual. We can see from this picture here to the center of the screen, there's a manual forms and you just think, oh, I've got a form to fill in. This one, you don't even think there is a form. You just kind of go through it and tick the boxes as you're going along. But we've got designers, we've got contractors, we've got subcontractors, we've got project managers, and we've got BIM and Revit coordinators in this as well. So again, you're getting quite a lot of the team who can be involved with actually utilizing the forms area if needed. Just from a designer's perspective, when I went onto site, I just like to see, are the skirtings installed, and those kind of questions that you do need a checklist as you're going along the site, around the site. It's just good to have, are the windows installed to the right directions and, the doors with the vision panels installed to the correct rooms and things like that. It's just a nice checklist to kind of walk through the building with as you're going along and just ticking the boxes on that. Okay, so moving into a different area of build, what we have is something called meetings. So within the meetings part was quite fun, wasn't it, Claus? We have a bit of a workflow that we can run through on this one. So with this, the reason why I say it's quite fun is because you have an agenda and you have a meeting minutes area and you can edit those, and we'll shortly see the platform and how that works. But with this part is with the workflow, it's quite a nice straightforward fluid workflow. So you have organizers, you have invitees, you have your person who's creating the meeting, they build the agenda, which is quite interactive because from the homepage, Claus, I believe you said, I've got a lot of items that I've got to start doing here. And that's because from the homepage, Claus was able to see which items he had from the meetings that we've had. So building the agenda, adding invitees and organisers, they then review the agenda, and then we can record the attendance by having a live, tick box of who has attended with the thumbnails next to them. You've got mark as official minutes. As soon as you've done that, you've got review of that minutes. You can generate a follow-up meeting from that, and the links will be created within ACC. So we'll see for a bit of a news flash on that one shortly. But once that generated follow-up meeting has been created, we're back into the build agenda. And so we're editing that agenda to then bring out the minute meetings as to what the summary was, etc. The newsflash that we have is that Autodesk have been working closely with Microsoft, and now we have the integration of Microsoft Teams. So ACC have recognized that we don't just use Zoom for our meetings, we also use the package Microsoft Teams. And so now we've got the ability to go in and create any meetings from within this area as well. Instead of coming out to the platform, generating a separate link, which is disconnected from your Outlook, etc. So we'll see how that works together then. So in terms of this, we've got Good Morning Bettool. You've got a flash page here. You've got how many meeting items you've got and checked out in your name and things like that. Any lists of meetings that you might have, and it'll tell you the agenda or the minutes for those meetings as well. So to create a new meeting, we can just go in and, first of all, we can go in and have a look at any minutes, and we can go in to see if we want to add something to our calendar, etc. We've got the agenda side of things as well, and we can see that things are open, we can see who's invited, we can see who's in the meeting. But if we want to go in and have a look at any of our items that's been checked out within the entire process, then we can see that we've got, items checked out to both Claus and myself in this particular meeting. But let's go in and create a new meeting. So first of all, we need to give the meeting a title. So we need to say what the meeting is all about, and we need to give it a time and a time zone and a location. So whether it's an office or whether we say it's a Teams meeting, but we can specify the time and we can specify the date. Once you have done that, in the scenario that we're using Microsoft Teams, you have to be signed into Microsoft Teams or Microsoft 365 ahead of this next part. So if you go to add link, it will then generate it automatically, noting that you are logged into your own Microsoft account. And then you can just add your description, add the meeting discussion points, as you would do with a Word PowerPoint or with a Word item. These are quite nice and movable as well. So if you've thought, oh, well, no, item number 1 needs to be item number 2, we can move things around. They're quite adjustable. You've got the functionality of bolds and italics and things like that, like how you would normally, and you can tag people in, which is quite nice as well, to the different items. And as you're going through the meeting, you can see the different people's kind of faces or thumbnails to go with their particular item as you're going along. And so you can see then, material for webinar, you can see design collaboration, you've got the different items building out for what it is that you need to do. So as you're going through the agenda, you can always go in and you can say that something is ongoing if you're on a next meeting, if it's rolling out, or if something is closed out, then we can close out an item, and that will remove it from the items on your to-do list on your home page, if you like. In your email sense, you don't have to put in any of the dates or the times or even the links. It will, in Outlook, it will put this into your calendar to the right day and time, so long as you've downloaded the ICS format. And that is it with regards to meeting kind of overview. But what's important is knowing where you stand within the meetings plan. So we talked about initiators, we talked about the organisers, and we talked about the invitees. What we have here now is the meeting rights and the permission. So we've got invitees, organisers, project administrators, and what it is exactly that you have access to. So an invitee will have less access than an organiser or a project administrator. They'll have the ability, the organisers or project administrators will be able to invite attendees, they'll be able to edit meeting minutes, they'll be able to edit or mark as minutes as well. So once an agenda has been finalized, we can go in and say, right, that's the minutes of what's happened within our meeting. So it's just quite important to go along with that.
Who do require this, do you think?
Yeah, leads us to this. Who would require this? So mainly project managers or mainly project managers would utilize this, but what we have is the entire team, because you are inviting the entire team to your meetings or at certain stages or at certain different times of the meeting. But what's really key is that only those who have build licenses will be able to have these tasks assigned to them. So it's important to review what type of licenses you have at the start of a project in order to see if you're going to maximize the benefits of how this meeting part will work. So let's take a look at a summary. We've kind of thrown at you quite a lot of different modules. Depending on which part of the team you are, you might have kind of tuned in more on certain modules than others, but we hope that you have tuned into all of them. So in a bit of a summary then, what is ACC, Claus?
Yeah, ACC, as you have seen there, is a huge platform consisting of lots of different modules, and there is something for every workflow and every process that could actually benefit and you could enhance every process from the tools that are within the Autodesk Construction Cloud.
Absolutely. And to adopt those, we need to be able to see, are we going to put the ACC capabilities on new projects? Are we going to adopt them purely for projects that are going to kind of go forward, or are we going to be looking at uploading our existing data into this platform to utilize it on an ongoing project? Depending on your needs, we can review to see which is best for that. So in terms of the modules then that we've been through, Claus, what modules did we touch on today?
We talked about it, of course. Yeah, of course we talked about the docs module because that is the backbone of the thing, of all the other construction cloud. And then we have shown you some of the BIM collaboration. Yeah. It's a great tool. And there is even an upgraded version of BIM collaboration actually that is supporting the work sharing and cloud. That's called BIM Collaboration Pro, which is just short of that. We didn't show that, but that's even more good. And then we have shown you some of the functionalities within Takeoff. Of course, there's a lot more functionality there, but I've shown you the key parts and main functionality. And then Bettool was kind to show us just a little bit of the build, because build is a huge module within, but we have seen the good functionality that actually is within the forms and the meetings.
Brilliant. And when we was discussing this, Claus, about bringing together our kind of BIM items and, as we're building up our kind of portfolio, you're building up the different layers, which kind of brings in this image. So you mentioned the BIM bowl. Yeah, tell me a bit more about the BIM bowl.
Because it is how you should do this from the project, how you should do all the design. You start with adding on ingredients. So when you design the house, okay, you add in doors and windows and stairs and stuff like that. And then maybe another person come into the project and they add in other ingredients. So somebody adds in electrical and plumbing and structure things. So after all, you have a bowl with all these ingredients that actually the project consists of.
Brilliant. So you're kind of doing this, isn't it? You layer on top of layer. And so you're layering the design as we're going along. And so that's what we was hoping to achieve with today's presentation is that, you know, we have layered the different levels of what you can get with Autodesk Construction Cloud. So starting off with the basics of docs and then moving into the complexities of Takeoff and then going into how we can streamline our daily workings with meetings and forms. So that kind of summarizes what we was looking at today. So in a bit more of a professional contact us page, you can contact either myself or Claus if you would like to discuss anything with regards to the presentation today. Please do make sure that you subscribe and like our channel as well if you'd like to know more or hear more about when we've produced our next webinars as well. So any content on there, not just with regards to ACC, but our page covers all sorts and ranges of topics, exciting things from Inventor, from manufacturing or Revit or even Navisworks. So depending on what kind of information you most like about Symetri, then you can always find something on our YouTube page. So if you do have any questions following that, then please feel free to get in contact either with us or the account manager of your account if you've got an account with us at Symetri. If not, please feel free to just kind of have a look at our website and find us on the contact page as well. Okay, thank you very much for taking the time out and for spending the last hour with us at Symetri. From Claus and myself, goodbye.
Thank you.
Thank you.